Albian Prime District Compendium. 24 fragments of a dying world.
The following is a high-clearance data slate recovered from the ruins of the Albion Prime District centuries later, capturing that bittersweet age of hope before the heresy changed everything. Forever.
Archival log, Terra Albion Prime Precinct, timestamp 007.M31, the zenith of the Great Crusade, clearance, alpha level, Imperial iterator access, subject,
The Gilded Crown, a survey of the Albion Prime District.
Forward. To look upon the Albion Prime District is to witness the ultimate triumph of the Unification Wars. Where the arch-tyrants once ruled from damp primitive fortresses, the Emperor's light now shines upon spires of burnished Sycorax bronze. Here, the ancient warlord traditions of terror have been transfigured into the cold yet beautiful logic of the Imperial truth. The stone does not merely hold up the sky, it sings of a species reunited. As we finalize the expansion of the Edificatorium Gloriam and witness the steady rhythm of the obsidian Chronos spires, we see a machine of civilization, perfectly tuned. This is intended for the eyes of visiting dignitaries, iterators in training, and the High Chancellory, ensuring that all who walk these gilded avenues understand the logic and labor that maintain our sanctuary. It is a document that serves as the definitive topographical record of the 24 sectors of this hallowed parent district. Let this be a testament to the order that now reigns over the birthplace of the Legio Foundations. Magos Logos Farn Helmont, custodian of the Albion Terran records.
The Iron Threshold stands as the primary northern egress for the Albion Prime District. It is the final checkpoint before the sprawling industrial basins transition into the untamed Albion wastes. The gate is austere, functional, and formidable, serving as the literal full stop at the end of the Albion Prime District's urban sentence. And while the city within is filled with spires and statues, this structure is built for one purpose: exclusion. To pass through these gates is to leave the light of the Imperial truth and enter the raw, unrefined world beyond. The gate is anchored by two massive multi-tiered stone bastions known colloquially as the Twin Sentinels. Their burnished Sycorax domed peaks house high-frequency Vox scanners and automated sentry logics, ensuring that every soul entering the city is identified and catalogued accordingly. The gate itself is a heavy reinforced slab of blast-tempered Aegis plating. Its dark cross-hatched ribbing is designed to dissipate the kinetic energy of siege rounds, making it a nearly impenetrable barrier to anything short of a Titan-grade breakthrough. The wide, flat staging area in front of the gate serves as a decontamination and declaration zone known as the Pilgrim's Pause. Here, convoys from the southern fuel depots are vetted by the Castellan Senecal's enforcers before being granted entry into the city district's inner sanctums. The Iron Threshold represents the boundary of order. It is a stark reminder to all who approach the Albion Prime District that while the Emperor's mercy is great, the city walls are unyielding. Standing at the absolute northwest vanguard of the Albion Prime District conurbation, Sector 1 serves as the primary intake marrow for the city's survival. Known as the Porta Principia Vigil, this tile is the first port of call for the massive orbital lighters that descend from the stars, laden with nutrient slurries and high-yield munitions required to sustain and defend a world of Albion's magnitude. Porta Principia Vigil is defined by its dual purpose: sustenance and slaughter. To the rear stands the Vectis Primus, a heavy-duty logistics crane finished in the vibrant hazard orange of the Albion Prime District's dockyards. Its massive hydraulic arm has worked in a tireless cycle, hoisting armored shipping containers from the landing pads to be funneled into the city's interior via the subterranean maglev rail systems. However, the true master of this sector is the Oculum Ferris, a towering reinforced bastion topped with a triple-linked defense laser turret. Its machine spirit is ancient and temperamental, programmed to scan the skies for anything lacking the proper Imperial clearance codes. Even in this age of relative peace, the laser's cooling vents hiss with a constant thrumming heat, a reminder that the Great Crusade's bounty is protected by the most violent means imaginable. Linking these two giants is a network of conduitus vitalis, exposed piping and promethium lines that pulse with the hum of high-pressure flow. The ground is scarred with vestigium grav, deep indentations from the landing struts of heavy transport craft. As the first light of the sun hits the Aegis plating of the turret, the sector stands as a silent vow. Nothing enters the city without the Emperor's leave, and nothing threatens the city while the Oculum Ferris remains wakeful. Moving eastward along the city's primary defense line, Sector 2 acts as the mandatory bottleneck for all who seek entry into the Albian Prime Districts. Designated the sanctum liminar, it is here the cold, unfeeling eye of the Imperial Administratum first falls upon the city's guests. The undisputed giant of this sector is the Turris Lex, a soaring, Gothic needle of stone and plasteel. Its architecture is intentionally intimidating, yet ornate, designed to make the individual feel infinitesimal beneath the weight of the Emperor's law. Within its vaulted chambers, countless scribes and low-level adepts process the tabular permit, the mountain of physical parchment and data slates required for every crate of munitions or weary traveler crossing the threshold. Its spire is crowned with vox arrays and signal auspexes, constantly whispering data to the high command centers that are hunkered deeper within the city. At the tower's base lies the Piazza Veritas, an open ferrocrete staging ground where convoys are forced to halt. The ground is edged with the sanctum, a perimeter line that no civilian may cross without the proper clearance seals. Small ancillary structures, the Officio Minor, flank the plaza. These serve as checkpoints for the physical inspection of genetic codes and cargo stamps. Even the cooling vents and industrial pipes, the spiritus machina, that snake across the sector's surface, seem to pulse with a rhythmic judgmental thrum. This sector is a testament to the fact that on Albion, safety is bought with total transparency. To enter the city is to be known, filed, and catalogued. As the shadow of the Turris Lex stretches across the ground, it serves as a grim warning. The wall protects those within, but it watches them just as closely. If Sector 2 is the eye that watches the gate, Sector 3 is the memory that never forgets. Known formally as the Scriptorium Maximus, this sector is dedicated entirely to the preservation and categorization of the mountain of data generated at the city's edge. Every permit, genetic scan, and cargo manifest from the sanctum liminar is physically and digitally transported here to be entombed within the city's records. The centerpiece is the Eternar Vault, a sprawling multi-tiered edifice of reinforced silicate and lead-lined plasteel. The vault's architecture is dense and windowless, designed to protect the paper soul of the district from fire, bombardment, or prying eyes. Within its depths, thousands of auto-scribes and data servitors toil in the perpetual twilight, filing away the endless stream of parchment into the honeycombed shelves that stretch kilometers beneath the street level. Surrounding the central vault are the pneumatic relays, a series of bronze-clad pipes that hiss and clatter as they carry pressurized canisters of paperwork directly from the checkpoint towers of the neighboring sectors. The architecture here is heavily buttressed, not just to support the weight of the massive archives, but to act as a secondary defensive line should the outer gate ever fall. The air in Sector 3 is thick with the scent of aged vellum, ozone, and sacred incense. To the common citizen, this building is a tomb of secrets. To the Administratum, it is the most vital weapon in the city's arsenal. In this quiet before the storm, the Scriptorium is at its busiest, frantically documenting the surge of loyalist reinforcements, unaware that soon these very records will be used by the traitors as an even greater weapon to identify and purge those still loyal to the throne. If the first sector of this strata, or row, is the city's open hand, Sector 4 is its clenched, armored fist. Known as the Bastion silentium, this tile marks the northeastern terminus of the outer wall's first line of defense. While it shares the industrial aesthetic of its counterparts, its purpose is purely, terrifyingly material. Mirroring Sector 1, the Oculum Secundus defense tower dominates the skyline, its triple-linked laser cannons constantly oscillating in a slow, predatory rhythm. However, where Sector 1 featured a loading crane, this sector houses the Iris Subterranea, a dormant but menacing M900 missile silo. Beneath the heavy heat-shielded maw lies a payload of city-killing warheads, kept in a state of perpetual cold start readiness. To the uninitiated, it looks like a singular warhead, but to the defenders of the Albion Prime District, it is the city's final, apocalyptic retribution. The surrounding industrial sprawl is a deceptive web of auxiliary service equipment. These are not for commerce, but instead are specialized cooling arrays, rapid fueling pumps, and automated loading tracks designed to service the weapons platforms of Sector 4. The prominent red barrel roof outbuilding is Generator Vitalis, providing an isolated power loop, ensuring that even if the rest of the city's grid falls, the warheads and lasers of Sector 4 can still be unleashed to their fullest potential. The ground here is reinforced with Aegis plating, scarred by the chemical residue and the harsh lubricants of heavy machinery. The atmosphere is one of heavy electric silence, the silentium from which the sector takes its name. It is the time capsule of imperial might, weapons built for a war that Albion's citizens believe will never come. yet it stands guard over a golden age that is already beginning to slip away. We now move on to Strata 2. Positioned directly behind the primary intake gates, Sector 5 is dominated by the Arx-iterum, the tallest and most imposing spire in the Albion Prime District. While the surrounding sectors manage the flow of cargo and parchment, the Arx-iterum manages the flow of loyalty. It is a building that does not just house officials, it projects the shadow of the Emperor himself. The structure is a masterwork of high Gothic architecture, culminating in a soaring needle spire that pierces the smog of the city. Emblazoned across its midsection is the Aquila Glorium, a massive bronze-cast imperial eagle. In this era, this symbol is a reminder of the unification of Terra and the Great Crusade's promise, but its gaze is cold and unblinking. It is rumored that the Chosen of Malcador, those shadowy proto-inquisitors and seekers of truth, utilize this spire as a central hub for monitoring sedition from the streets to within the noble houses of the Albion Prime District. At the base of the spire lie the Rostra Gardens, small, meticulously maintained patches of synthesized greenery, a rare and expensive luxury on a world of iron and ash. These serve as a stark contrast to the surrounding industry, signaling to all that those who dwell within the Arx-iterum are above the mundane toil of the regular citizenry. The building's lower levels house the Sanctum Interrogatus, where those whose documentation fails at the gates are brought for their final clarification. The architecture here transitions from grand to claustrophobic, with heavy reinforced doors and vox scrubbers that ensure no sound escapes the impenetrable walls. As the sun sets, the Arx-iterum is the first to catch the light, and the last to lose it, standing as a golden beacon of order and a terrifying reminder of the price of betrayal. If the neighboring spire represents the law, Sector 6 represents the movement of the city's elite. Known as the Via-adventus, this sector is dominated by the Pons Sanguis, or the Blood Bridge. While its name sounds ominous in hindsight of the heresy, it was originally named for the deep iron oxide pigment of the Albian foundries used to seal its massive girders against the caustic atmosphere. The Pons Sanguis is one of 3 great spans or bridges within this district. It serves as an elevated transit artery, allowing high-ranking adepts and military officers to bypass the congested soot-stained industrial ground levels. The bridge's arch is a masterpiece of pre-heresy engineering, combining aesthetic grace with the structural strength to support armored transport columns. Below the bridge lies the Stationis Minor, a collection of auxiliary transit buildings crowned with distinctive copper domes, known as the Cupolas of Vigilance. These domes house localized vox boosters and environmental regulators, ensuring the air remains breathable for the dignitaries passing through. The smallest structure near the edge of the sector houses the automated transit gate mechanisms, where the speed and the direction of the maglev flow are monitored by low-level cogitators. Additionally, subterranean access is supplied via the angled bunker-style entrances of the Iter Profundus, which can be found scattered across the district, allowing access to the underground maglev network, bomb shelters, and other vital district infrastructure too important to be exposed to the ever-changing and harsh elements of Albion. The ground of the Via-adventus is kept remarkably clean compared to the loading bays of Strata 1, featuring wide pedestrian plazas designed for military parades. In this time capsule, the sector is a picture of imperial efficiency. The bridge stands ready to carry the Emperor's Chosen, unaware that it will soon buckle under the weight of titanic betrayal and the fires of civil war. As we progress through Strata 2, the atmosphere shifts from civil administration to high-alert protection. Sector 7, the Circumpraesidium, serves as the inner reactive shield for the city's core. While the massive lasers of Strata 1 scan the distant horizon, the twin Hydra pattern point defense towers found here are designed for close-up engagements. These towers are faster, more precise, enslaved to a localized logic hub that allows them to track nimble, low-altitude threats or internal insurgencies that might attempt to strike at the city's heart. Their black and silver livery makes them part of the Praetorian Guard, an elite detachment of the Solar Auxilia, tasked with the protection of Albion Prime District's most sensitive assets. Nestled between these towers is a Vox Relay Sanctum, topped with a radiant gold-trimmed dome. This structure coordinates the firing solutions for the entire sector, ensuring that the defensive umbrella is seamless. The architecture here remains grand, Gothic arches and stone buttresses, proving that even in its military installations, the Albion Prime District does not sacrifice beauty for utility. The open plazas between the buildings are scorched with the faint residue of tracking motor lubricants and frequent live-fire drills. This sector is a silent guardian, a layer of steel and fire that stands between the common citizens and the mysterious core of the city. To pass through Sector 7 is to feel 1,000 targeting reticules following your every move. Marking the northeast terminus of Strata 2, Sector 8 represents the peak of civilian luxury within this district. Known as the Arx-iterum Celesti, these are the high spire residences reserved for the chancellors of the scriptorium, high-ranking iterators, and the merchant princes who fund the Albian Prime District's tithes. The sector is characterized by its terraced Aegis architecture, smaller, elegant hab blocks topped with gold and red-trimmed roofs and private observation balconies. Every window in this sector is angled purposefully toward the southwest, ensuring that the primary view for every resident is the breathtaking silhouette of the Basilica Eterna. To live here is to be part of the city's gilded circle, physically and socially elevated above the soot and clamor of the streets and loading docks. Prominent in this sector are the ventilation sanctums, highly decorative copper-domed devices that house advanced air purification arrays. These ensure that while the rest of the city breathes what's commonly known as the industrial grey, the residents of the celestial dwellings enjoy air scented with synthetic jasmine and sacred oils. The small white-walled courtyard structures serve as meditation atriums where the elite can discuss the philosophical tenets of the imperial truth in quiet seclusion above the organized chaos found at street level. Even the industrial piping in this sector, the vena aurea, or golden veins, is neatly tucked behind decorative stonework or finished in polished brass. It is a place of profound peace and staggering wealth, standing as a testament to the prosperity the Great Crusade has brought to Albion. The residents here look out at the Basilica Eterna and see a future of eternal progress, never dreaming that the horizon will soon be choked with the clouds of Deathstorm drop pods. As we move into Strata 3, the grandeur of the administrative spires gives way to the lived reality of Albion's regular but loyal citizenry. Sector 9 is home to the Domus Communis, a dense residential hab block. Unlike the airy, sun-drenched estates of the celestial dwellings on Tile 8, this is architecture for the working elite, the mid-level clerks, master artisans, and senior foremen who keep the city's gears turning. The building itself is a sturdy multi-story Bastion-class hab built with thick ferro-concrete walls to dampen the constant hum of the city's industry. While it sits closer to the Basilica Eterna than the outer districts, its view of the Golden Dome is largely occluded by the massive structures of the central plaza on Tile 10. This creates a sense of urban shadows, where the light of the Basilica Eterna is felt more through the glowing atmosphere than through a direct line of sight. The most striking feature of Sector 9 is the Pond's Nexus, or the Connection Bridge. This elevated skywalk stretches across the urban canyon to connect directly with the upper levels of Tile 13. This allows residents to move between hab blocks and work sectors without ever descending to the increasingly congested ground-level streets. At the base of the block, a small purification vat provides recycled water for the inhabitants, a reminder that even this deep in the city, every resource is carefully managed. Positioned at the northwestern shoulder of the Basilica Eterna, Sector 10 is dominated by the Lexicon Cathedra. This massive cruciform structure serves as the primary academy and residence for the city's iterators, the secular preachers of the imperial truth. While the common citizens in the neighboring Domus Communis, Tile 9, are blocked from seeing the Basilica Eterna, the iterators within this building live in its consistent shadow. The architecture is dense and scholarly, featuring high arched windows designed to let in the amber light of Albion's sun, while keeping the noise of the lower streets at bay. The central brass dome of the building acts as a vox amplifier hub, used to broadcast philosophical debates and imperial decrees across the city's public channels. The smaller structure beside it is the Sanctum Codex, a specialized library containing the personal journals of the city's founding scholars. Between these buildings lies the Plaza of Unity, a paved courtyard where students of the imperial truth gather to practice their oratory. From the air, the building forms a symbolic cross pointing directly towards the Basilica Eterna, signifying that all logic and reason in Albion eventually leads to the heart of the city. In the coming darkness of the heresy, this hall of logic will become a place of pure tragedy, as the very men trained to speak of unity are forced to choose between the loyalty of the Emperor or the honeyed words of the Warmaster. Rising above the surrounding districts like a golden sun, the Basilica Eterna is the spiritual and cultural nexus of this sector. In this pre-heresy time capsule, it does not house the zealous ecclesiarchy of the 40th millennium. Instead, it is a temple of reason and unity, a grand monument to the enlightenment brought by the Great Crusade. The massive gold-leaf dome is designed to be visible from every landing pad in the city. It represents the light of terror, reflecting Albion's sun with such brilliance that it can be seen by ships in low orbit. Unlike the sparse greenery of the Arx-iterum, the Basilica Eterna is surrounded by tiered balconies holding ancient, genetically pure Terran oaks. These trees are priceless, maintained by a dedicated staff of life wardens using climate-controlled subterranean reservoirs. This grand area is known as Arboretum Sacris. The wide marble white staircases on all four sides are known as the Ascent of Man, and are designed to facilitate mass processions. Here, the citizens gather to hear the proclamations of the iterators, the silver-tongued orators of the Crusade who spread the Emperor's secular message. The Basilica Eterna is why the Circumpresidium of Tal 7 exists. Those laser turrets aren't just protecting a city, they're protecting the very idea of Albion as the civilized, enlightened jewel of the Imperium. In Strata 3, the presence of the Edificatorium Gloriam proves that the city's architectural peak has not yet been reached. This sector is the staging ground for the ongoing expansion of the Basilica's precinct. The massive yellow crane, known as the Golden Gantry or Calum Fabrica, is not just a mere industrial tool, but a specialized precision lifter used for placing sacred statuary and delicate Gothic spires. Its golden hue signifies its status as a blessed machine, dedicated to the labor of beautifying the Emperor's domain. It is currently mid-operation, suspended in a moment of eternal progress. The tall hexagonal transit pillar supporting the crane also serves as a high-speed material lift, bringing rare stones and alloys up from the subterranean foundries to the construction level. The smaller tiered spire near the corner of the sector is an environmental stabilizer known as the Architect's Vane. It projects a localized calming field to ensure that high-altitude winds do not disturb the delicate work of the masons and artisans as they add new layers to the city's heart. On a planet of never-ending functional cuboids, a single circular piano nobile was constructed to not only house but celebrate and signify the importance of such an incredible mechanism as the Architect's Vane. If the Lexicon Cathedra of Tal 10 is the center for speech and philosophy, Sector 12 is the center for the city's diplomatic and legal execution. The Cancellaria Orientalis is one of the most striking buildings in the Albion Prime District, easily identified by its oxidized copper roofs known as the Viridian Vaults and its triple obsidian dark towers. The Viridian Vaults are crowned by green copper roofing as a mark of ancient prestige. Within these halls, the Chancellors of the Tithe manage the immense wealth flowing through the city. The green hue is a deliberate architectural contrast to the gold of the Basilica Eterna, symbolizing the earthly wealth that supports the divine reason. This imposing building's triforium spires are known locally as the Triadic Sentinels of Law. These dark towers house the high-level Vox encryptors and astropathic relays used for secure communication with the wider Imperium. Their dark finish isn't just aesthetic. The stone is treated with a rare void-shielding resin to prevent electronic or psychic eavesdropping. The High Span, or Pons Veridi, is a heavy brass-like bridge that connects the Chancellory to Tal 16. Because it skips over the ground-level streets entirely, it is used for the high transfer of sensitive data stacks and high-ranking officials who must move between the Northern Core and the Southern Districts in total security. Sector 12 is the bridge between the spiritual center of the city and its bureaucratic machinery. It is a place of whispers, seals, and heavy signatures, the paper trail of an empire in its golden age. As we cross into the southern hemisphere of the Albion Prime District, we enter Strata 4. This layer is the functional nexus, where the grand ideas of the northern sectors are translated into the practical reality of running a sector capital. Sector 13 is the primary receiving end of the Pons Nexus Skybridge. The dominant structure here is a specialized data tithe station. Unlike the ancient windowless vaults of the Scriptorium Maximus located in Sector 3, this building is active and high traffic. It serves as a localized hub for the city's internal VoxNet and pneumatic mail delivery, ensuring that the residential blocks are kept informed of the Basilica Eterni's decrees. The architecture features a central tiered spire that mirrors the aesthetics of the inner city but with a more utilitarian metallic finish. At its base, the open plazas are wider and more understated, designed to accommodate the hundreds of workers who descend from the Skybridge every morning to begin their shifts in the surrounding industrial and administrative zones. While designated as the Logistics Bureau, the heart of Sector 13 is the Vox Relay Manifold. This structure is the primary nexus for the Northern Hemisphere's internal communications. It is here that the Skybridge from Sector 9, or the Commons, terminates, depositing hundreds of data servants and low-level adepts into the massive stepped base of the building. Additional features include the transmission needle. The primary spire is a hypersensitive Vox array. It doesn't transmit or broadcast to the stars as the name may suggest. That is the job of the Dark Towers in Sector 12. but instead it listens to the city. It captures the rhythmic pulses of industrial output, transit schedules and atmospheric readings, relaying them to the Basilica Eterna's ancient central processors. The glowing yellow-lit windows represent the high-density data processing floors. In these warm, cramped halls, the servitor scribes translate the city's living data into the cold parchment of the Imperial Tithe. The arboreal sentinels are small, potted trees at the entrance. In this functional industrial sector, these are rare luxuries, maintained by the residents of Tal 9 as a point of pride, reminding them of the gardens of the Gilded Circle further north. Sector 13 is the Great Gear that connects the people to the state, a transition point where the philosophy of the North becomes the work of the South. It is a place of constant movement, glowing data screens, endless ticking chronometers only interrupted by the soft scratching of autoquills and the tireless hum of communication arrays. Sitting at the immediate western flank of the Basilica Eterna, Sector 14 houses the Narthex of Radiant Unity. This building is the final checkpoint for any pilgrim, official or iterator seeking entry into the central plaza. Its primary identifying feature is the Sol Dome, an orange burnished cupola designed to mimic the golden glory of the Basilica Eterna, but at a more humble scale. This copper alloy of the Sol Dome houses a localized climate control array. It maintains a constant warm temperature in the surrounding plaza, ensuring that the light of reason is physically felt by those waiting for an audience. The layout of the cruciform gate is a horizontal cross, creating wide shaded porticos, where the faithful can shelter from the elements. The stone is engraved with the litanies of unified logic, the foundational secular texts of pre-heresy Albian. At the base of the Narthex Radiant sits the smallest building in the sector that houses the cleansing basin, a circular fountain drawing its water from the same sacred aquifer as the central fountain in Sector 15. Before entering the Basilica Eterna's shadow, visitors traditionally wash their hands here to symbolize the shedding of unrefined thoughts. Sector 14 is a place of profound stillness and anticipation. It is the waiting room of the Empire, where the air is heavy with the scent of incense and the quiet murmur of scholars. In the grim future of the heresy, this gate will be transformed by reinforced plasteel slabs and heavy bolter nests, but for now, it stands open and welcoming. Sector 15 is the metaphorical center of the Albian Prime District. If the Basilica Eterna is the crown, this sector is the throne upon which it sits. It is the most sacred and heavily trafficked pedestrian zone in the entire district. The Viridian Annex, or Aula Viridi, is the prominent green-roofed building of the sector that serves as the High Scribe's chancellory. It is here that the verbal arguments of the Hall of Iterators from Sector 10 are transcribed into permanent imperial law. The color matches the rooftops of Sector 12, signaling that this is the central node for the city's legal network. The small, vibrant orange tower is a votive beacon of the Saffron Shrine. It burns a perpetual chemical flame that changes color based on the atmospheric purity of the city, a high-tech canary in the coal mine for the hive's life support systems. Finally, in the flat-top building there sits the grand octagonal fountain, or Fons Unitas. The fountain's water is recycled through a series of ancient filters, and is considered the purest substance on the planet, symbolizing the clarity of thought brought by the Imperial truth. This sector represents the point of absolute order. Standing here, a citizen can look in any direction and see the perfectly planned symmetry of a world at its peak. There is no soot here, no industrial clamor, only the sound of running water and the distant tolling of the Basilica Eterna's bells. Positioned at the southeastern corner of the Basilica Eterna's immediate influence, Sector 16 serves as the primary security and power distribution node for the inner city. It is the destination point for the heavy brass-like bridge descending from the eastern chancellory of Tal 12. The amber beacon known as the Pharos Legs, it is perched atop the only tower in Sector 16, and is the primary navigational node and Vox relay for the eastern districts. Its glowing tip is a powerful atmospheric beacon that guides high-altitude flyers through the smog of the industrial zones. In times of crisis, it functions as a command and control center for the local enforcer cadres. The lower square buildings with the dark roofs are not just offices, they are the Bastion Hab's reinforced barracks and armories. Their flat roofs are designed to serve as landing pads for small interceptors, or as elevated firing positions. The various domes, one red, one purple, represent the localized thermal heat sinks. These regulate the massive amount of energy required to power the Vox arrays and the Vox shielding of the neighboring chancellory. Sector 16 is the muscle behind the law of Sector 12. It ensures that while the diplomats sign treaties in the north, the peace is kept in the south. It is a place of heavy boots on stone and the low, constant thrum of power generators. As we descend into the southern hemisphere, Sector 17 serves as the primary life support node for the western districts. While the northern sectors worry about philosophy and law, the workers of the Humiditas Primus ensure the city can actually breathe and drink. The Aurelian Siphon, or Yellow Tower, is a distinctive ribbed structure that acts as a high-pressure atmospheric processor. It pulls moisture and oxygen from the thin altitude air of Albion and compresses it into liquid form for storage. The bright yellow color is a safety warning, marking it as a high-pressure zone, where heavy machinery is constantly in motion. The argent reservoirs, the horizontal silver tanks at the base of the primary storage vats for the city's emergency water reserves, are tanks that are connected to the central fountain in Sector 15, providing the pressure needed for its grand displays. Located directly south of the Basilica Eterna's main concourse, Sector 18 houses the obsidian Chronos spire. In the pre-heresy age, this was the primary timekeeping and astronomical observation post for the Albion Prime District, ensuring that all civic functions remained perfectly synchronized with the Imperial standard. The central dark spire is known as the Void Needle, constructed from a rare matte-finish basalt. It is designed to absorb light, making it a stark silhouette against the sky. At its peak, a series of high-precision celestial arrays track the movement of the Albion moon Luna, providing the data necessary for the city's complex tide-gated drainage systems. The base of the building is a three-tiered fortress of administrative offices. Its shape allows for 360-degree observations of the southern streets. The warm amber glow from the windows indicates the presence of the Chronos Adepts, the guild responsible for the relentless upkeep of the city's rhythmic order. This sector is notably quieter than the industrial zones. It is said that the base of the spire projects a localized sonic dampening field known as the Field of Silence, creating a zone of quiet reflection for those moving between the busy southern logistics hubs and the sacred center. Sector 18 represents the continuity of the Empire. It is a symbol that the Imperial truth is not just a philosophy, but a schedule, a relentless, orderly progression toward the future. Located directly south of the Grand Fountain, Sector 19 houses the city's premier medical and restorative facility, the Via-adventus of St. Albion. While the northern sector handles the city's mind and laws, this sector is dedicated to the preservation of its most valuable resource, the citizens themselves. The teal-green Viridian spire marks this as an imperial sanctum of healing. Its height allows it to catch the purest air above the city's street-level haze, which is then pumped down into the surgical theaters. The Apse of Recovery is the rounded green-domed extension of the medical sanctum, which is a specialized recovery ward. The semicircular design is intentional, maximizing natural light to aid in the healing process of high-ranking adepts and weary iterators. The Courtyard of Respite is complete with rare Albion flora, which provides a space for contemplation. In a city of stone and metal, this small patch of nature is a powerful symbol of the mercy inherent in the Imperial truth. In order for any to access the medical sanctum, one must first be subject to the decontamination intake, ensuring that no pathogens from the industrial outer layers penetrate the sanctum's halls. Sector 19 is a sanctuary of quiet professionalism. It represents the benevolent side of the Emperor's rule, a reminder that in the Golden Age of Albion, the life of a loyal servant was something to be cherished and protected. Standing at the eastern edge of the southern core, Sector 20 houses a masterpiece of Imperial propaganda, the Lexicana Monumental. This building is the physical manifestation of the Imperial truth. It serves as the ultimate repository for the city's highest laws and the most sacred secular records. The central golden statue depicts a legendary character from the history of Albion, an iterator general who made it their life's work to unify the world through both word and blade. The statue stands upon a massive bronze Aquila plinth, signifying that all knowledge in Albion is supported by the wings of the Imperium. Unlike the green roofs seen elsewhere throughout the district, the azure spires are finished in a rare cobalt blue ceramic tile made from lapis-veined auslite. These almost glowing spires house the high archive cells, where documents signed by the Emperor or his primarchs are kept in stasis fields. The lower, heavily buttressed wings of the building are designed to withstand a siege, for this is the Bastion Library. The library isn't just a place of study, it is a fortress for the idea of the Albion Prime District. If the city fell, the Lexicanum was intended to be the final holdout where the world's history would be preserved. This sector is the moral anchor of the Southern Hemisphere. It reminds every citizen that their labor, Tile 17, and their health, Tile 19, are all dedicated to a higher, eternal record of service. Sector 21 serves as a vital distribution artery within the Albion Prime District sprawl. Designated in the ancient architectural ciphers as the Portum Logistica, this sector is the primary staging ground for the transit of heavy munitions and essential supplies from the lower manufactorums to the city's outer defense curtains. The most dominant feature is the L-structure Angulus Ferris, a reinforced hab industrial complex that juts out like the tip of a spear, providing both warehouse space and a defensive perimeter for the valuable cargo stored within. The structure's Gothic archways and thick plasteel plating house the servitor scribes, who endlessly catalogue the flow of war material, their monotonous chants echoing through the vaulted halls. Crowning the turquoise pressure silo is the Vectus loader, an automated heavy lift crane capable of hoisting massive Minotaurus armor crates. These crates, rendered in striking cerulean and sulfur yellow to signify their volatile contents, contain the heavy shells for Albion's macro cannons and the vital components for Legion-grade void shield generators. The various blue and yellow containers in the courtyard are specialized secure tanks for hazardous byproducts. They're kept in the open for rapid extraction should the silo's pressure gauges ever go critical. The ground is a patchwork of plat industrialis stained by decades of oil leaks, chemical runoff, and the heavy tread of armored cargo haulers. At the corner of the loading bay sits the ventum subterraneus, an orange-rimmed heat exhaust that belches the sulphurous breath of the city's deep core furnaces. In the gathering dark of the Horus Heresy, this sector has become a site of intense paranoia. Every crate is inspected for the taint of sabotage, and the Angulus Ferris has been reinforced with additional sentry points to ensure the lifeblood of the defense forces continues to flow unimpeded. If Strata 1 is the city's shield, Strata 6 is its heavy engine. This final layer is where the raw power of the Albion Prime District is managed. It is a place of high-pressure steam, humming power lines, and the constant vigilance of armored sentinels. It ensures that while the inner city glows with enlightenment, the outer world is kept at bay by a ring of industrial iron. Deep within the smog-choked sprawl of the Albion Prime District lies Sector 22, known in the local administratum scrolls as the Castra Meridium. While the surrounding sectors scream with the din of heavy industry, this tile hums with the disciplined rhythmic pulse of a war machine at rest, sheltered beneath the shadow of the city's power grid. The primary feature of this sector are the 4 tabularum barracks, low-slung and heavily armored hab blocks designed to withstand orbital bombardment as easily as a localized uprising. These are not merely dwellings, they are sanctified cells where the defenders of the Albion Prime District, be they the Solar Auxilia or the early garrisons of the Legions Astartes, undergo the ritual of rest and armament. The metallic ribs of the barracks glow with a dull, heat-treated bronze, mirroring the harsh environment of the planet. Dominating the central plaza is the Aureum Apex, a magnificent copper-domed tactical shrine. It serves as the spiritual and strategic heart of the sector, where Voxcasters broadcast litanies of battle and the Vox link to the High Command is maintained through the flickering plasma coils within. Rising above the hab blocks is the Fulman Pylon, a skeletal monolith of black iron that thrums the raw, lethal energy of the planet's atmospheric siphons. It acts as a conductor for the Iterators generatum, its insulators crackling with blue-white static that illuminates the sector in jagged flashes during the frequent Albion ash storms. To the soldiers below, the pylon's constant low-frequency drone is the song of the Forge, a reminder of the vast energies required to keep the city's void shields and weapon batteries alive. The ground is edged with circumferous, a reinforced perimeter line that separates the warrior's sanctum from the civilian industrial toil. This sector represents the cold reality of Albion. Even in the heart of a city, the presence of the military and the raw power of the machine spirit are inextricably linked, standing ready as the shadow of the inevitable heresy begins to infect the planet. Sector 23 holds the Iterators generatum, a critical node in the city's power grid, constantly straining under the immense demand of the surrounding manufactorums and fortress walls. This generator is not merely a power source. It is a reliquary of raw, harnessed energy, a turbulent heart of the Pax Albion. Before the heresy fractured the world, the central structure is a cruciform fornax reactor, clad in ablative ceramite plating, the color of aged brass and scorched iron. Its circular domes and rounded conduits hint at ancient, possibly pre-imperial construction methods. Technology so complex, it is now only understood through ritual adherence and endless maintenance cycles performed by the cloistered tech adepts of the Mechanicum. Within its thick bunker-like walls are volatile plasma cores that produce unceasing energy. This process is inherently unstable, and the generator pulses with a barely contained fury, the very air around it shimmering with heat and static charge. This perpetual volatility is why the structure is surrounded by fortified bulwarks, the Valus Circum, designed to contain any catastrophic breach, sacrificing the surrounding industrial blocks to save the city from a total power failure. Flickering emergency light sources, or lumen vigilantes, illuminate the maintenance bays and external conduits. The entire tile is a testament to the Imperium's reliance on systems that are powerful, yet always on the brink of failure. A perfect microcosm of the developing civil war itself. This generator must be held at all costs. To lose it is to plunge entire quarters of the city into darkness, a darkness where treachery and sedition breed freely. Finally, Sector 24 acts as the primary refueling and logistics terminal for the city's southern defensive line. While other sectors generate power, say Sector 23, or process chemicals, Sector 21, this sector is dedicated to the storage and rapid deployment of liquid energy, specifically high-grade promethium. The massive red gantry hoist crane is the twin to the one in Sector 11. It is designed to lift heavy fuel cells directly from armored convoys arriving from the southern wastes, swinging them over the perimeter walls into the secure courtyard. The cluster of bright orange dome-capped tanks has specialized promethium reservoirs. Their vibrant color serves as a standard Imperial warning for volatile contents, marking this as one of the most dangerous yet vital sectors in the district. The white vertical storage silos are climate-controlled units used for storing reactive lubricants and hydraulic fluids used throughout the sector's machine heart. Their placement alongside the fuel pods ensure that the city's defense machinery can be fully serviced in a single stop. Sector 24 is a place of heavy fumes, industrial thunder, and rigorous safety protocols. It represents the blood of the city, the fuel that keeps the lights on in the Basilica Eterna, and the heaters running in the residential hat blocks.
Historical prologue. The rebirth of the old soil. Ancient Albion was a land of shadows, a tortured, fractured realm of techno-barbarian clans and brutal Iron Kings. But when the Emperor's majestic Thunder Warriors broke the last of the Arch-tyrants, the soil of Albion was reclaimed for humanity. On the very ground where blood was once spilled for savage gods, we have raised a city of stone and light. When the first stones of the Basilica Eterna were laid, the Emperor's light became a physical reality for the people of this world. The Albion Prime District was designed as a vertical harmony on Holy Terra. The northern strata, with their graceful silhouettes, reflect the height of Terran philosophy and the new Imperial law. Each stone carved to reflect the height of human thought, law, history, and noble discourse. The southern strata were forged to demonstrate human industry, the life support systems, power generators, and fuel depots that allow our enlightenment to flourish. In this golden age, the Colossus of Reason in Sector 20 stands where a tyrant's gallows once loomed. The teal-green oxidization of the rooftops, the famous Albion Viridian, marks these buildings as ancient anchors of stability and bottomless knowledge. The gates of the Iron Threshold remain barred only to the chaos of the past, while opening wide to the glorious future of the Great Crusade. Albion Prime is not just a district, it is the soul of Terra made manifest. It is proof that even the most scarred Earth can be healed by the Emperor's will, and that, from the ruins of Old Albion, a paradise of reason has been born. End of file. Data corruption detected. N31.014. Terra under siege.
I just wanted to offer my appreciation to everyone who's supporting the channel over on Patreon, and a big thank you goes out to Jesse.
If you'd like to support what I do here at Bunker 6, please consider looking at one of the links in the description, which will enable you to do so. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'm Vincent signing off from here at Bunker 6.